Now, there is no doubt about it that when you compare creators out there like Rian Johnson and Leslye Headland together side by side, Leslye Headland is far worse than Rian Johnson ever was with The Last Jedi by how much he divided the fandom back in 2017. Because if you take a very good look at The Acolyte, it is the epitome of what Kathleen Kennedy always wanted to do with Star Wars. She finally got her wish, her terrible wish at that really caused a lot of fans to finally walk away from the franchise, to cancel their Disney Plus subscription and move on finally. This is exactly why I say The Acolyte was the final nail in the coffin, because it's only going to go downhill from here, especially with the upcoming Skeleton Crew series, which doesn't look like it's going to improve things at all. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, we all know that there's been a lot of drama happening between Leslye Headland, the Disney executives, the higher-ups, the board of directors, you name it, even Bob Iger involved, after her losing out on millions of dollars that were built into her contract that were recently torn apart into shreds. We know that there's a lot of things going on there, and we all know as well that Leslye Headland takes it out on the fans, just like Amanda Stenberg does, as well as Kathleen Kennedy going off about toxic men and how women have to have a lot of problems when they actually get involved in the Star Wars franchise. Now, what's interesting about this has a lot more to do with the ongoing issues related to Leslye Headland and how she continues to go against the fans. Let's get into it. Now, already we know that Lucasfilm is by far the worst division over at the Walt Disney Company for several factors, right? However, on top of everything here, with the Acolyte Finale considered one of the worst additions to the series, one significant development going on right now has more to do with Leslye Headland, who continues to go against the fans for raising their criticism with the Acolyte. Now, Headland delivered the following in the wake of losing millions of dollars in her contract that was recently torn to shreds. As a damn grown woman, I think I understand Star Wars best after reading all of the Expanded Universe books from the 90s and the 2000s. It truly gave me the knowledge to work with it in creating a well-crafted story that would go above and beyond where George was willing to go with his stories. One thing I will be openly clear about is that the fans that shout into the void and try to make their toxic opinions known to the public are not fans. They are truly just posers trying to promote their narrative and the way that they see the world and what they want to see in Star Wars. I think they need to understand that Star Wars doesn't belong to them, but rather it belongs to the creator. The growing issue that we are dealing with in the film industry now involves these same individuals that claim to be fans in different fandoms, that convince the studios to make the wrong decisions. Myself and Amanda have been very upfront about this, but The Acolyte was a great project for us to address the ongoing issues with sexism and the LGBTQ community being put to the wayside in this industry, then we need to fix that ASAP, and I believe I contributed well to all of that. I will admit that I did have some projects lined up that were going to center on the High Republic era, and I am no longer willing to discuss those plans. So I ask anyone to refrain from pushing me into that subject, but when you are a director who is proudly part of the LGBTQ community, my priority with this series was how could we incorporate that into the story, and I think we did this well, both from a canon perspective and through a creative's view, such as myself and how Kathy gave me all the support that I needed. I know Dave Filoni really guided me well on that challenge, and we worked together thoroughly on how to properly address the issues with sexism and LGBTQ representation. Now guys, let me just stop here again. Now look, she's going on about how Dave Filoni gave her all the support in the world. This is exactly why I keep saying that Dave Filoni is not the answer to Star Wars. He never really was, to be honest. I mean, if you really want to go into deep research, if you go back years, back to like 2015 or 2016, Dave Filoni did make quite a number of comments about his beliefs and what should be done in Star Wars that kind of falls in line with what Leslye Headland is spewing out there. And she's confirming this further. It doesn't have anything to do with him wanting to save his job or staying employed over at Lucasfilm. Dave Filoni fully supports Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy and what they've been up to with The Acolyte. He fully endorsed the show. He actually handed down notes on the series. He approved from, of course, some storytelling perspectives from Leslye Headland that were shoehorned into the series. And she confirms it here again, that he was in all on the entire movement of LGBTQ representation over proper storytelling, over proper character development. And I think that this makes the situation even worse. The fact that you have someone like Dave Filoni that has been heavily praised as the savior of Star Wars, which as far as I'm concerned is not the savior of Star Wars. I don't care what anyone says, but anyone is entitled to their opinion. That's just mine. I don't believe he is the savior of Star Wars. Now, look, on top of everything here, I think Star Wars is beyond saving. There's no way to repair this thing moving ahead. She goes on to conclude, because you see George Lucas missed that opportunity. Quite frankly, I believe it was deliberate that the many communities in his films were not properly addressed. It was my main criticism with the originals, and especially with the prequels. You just had a lack of powerful women in there. The main 6 movies were obviously male-dominant, and that was the problem. Dave really made things clear to me of what he tried to do with Ahsoka on all-female-led cast, and how we could go beyond what we, of course, did not do in that show, and how we can incorporate that into The Acolyte further, and how it would perfectly represent women, and any so-called fan that remains opposed to that are not fans at all, as far as I'm seeing things. I know Dave agrees with me on that front, on how there are so many fans that get bent out of shape when the story is focused on a female role. So, I don't know if you guys remember, but if you go back to this, he commented about Rey Skywalker and how so many fans had a problem with that. He had an issue with that criticism, and it's not a big shocker that he approves The Acolyte. Now, look, Leslye Headland goes as far to criticize George Lucas for not representing powerful female roles in his original 6 movies. Is she forgetting Leia Organa? Is she forgetting Padme Amidala in the prequels? It's just ridiculous, it's ludicrous, and it just goes to show you that they will say whatever they have to say to throw in their narrative, the way that they see the world. Even though they may not believe what they're saying is 100% true, they will say anything based on a half-truth. So yes, we do have powerful female roles in the original George Lucas Star Wars films, right? Along with the prequel movies. You got Leia, Padme Amidala, just as a few examples there, and by far, Leslye Headland will never admit those characters by name are powerful figures in the Star Wars universe. So that's part of their narrative, right? That's what they always like to do. So again, she is really making it ultimately clear that Dave Filoni was in on everything related to The Acolyte. Even Filoni himself admitted that. He loves what Leslye Headland put together, especially with the finale, with episode 3, and with episode 7. As far as I'm, looking at things here, guys, those 3 episodes are garbage. They are garbage tier Star Wars. And I don't really see Star Wars making a turnaround. You can make a Mandalorian and Grogu movie all you want. At the end of the day, we know that the main reason why they're making that movie is Grogu marketing, to get the overall people to actually look at Grogu and to get them to the theater. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.